Hi folks, and welcome back for another video at the WTF. And I guess you are wondering what I'm holding in my hands. Well, this is a piece of tat called a circulation booster, which we are going to have a look at and take apart. So these things are on the market, you can buy them, and what they are supposed to do is alleviate aching legs, and if you've got a problem with, say, varicose veins, leg swelling, intermittent claudication, which is a problem you get when you have furred up arteries and you can't walk very far, these things apparently are supposed to help. Now, in my day job, some of you know that I work in the hospital as a vascular surgeon, and I get a lot of patients asking about these. Do they work? And to be honest with you, I don't know much about them. There's not an awful lot of scientific evidence to suggest that they will, where they help. They certainly may help symptoms, but they're not going to unlikely to, or they won't reverse the underlying pathological process. So what I thought I'd do is play around with one of these and have a look at it in more detail and see what it does. And yeah, should have some interesting electronics inside, I think. Right, excuse the dodgy looking feet, but I've got this thing switched on, and the whole purpose of this is that you, well, basically you sit on it with your feet connected to it. These electrodes here, I initially was a bit baffled by this, but this is actually conductive rubber. So you put your feet on this thing, and you basically crank. You got two settings. You've got an intensity for the sole, and you've also got the body, and you have these things here, which are electrodes, which you can put onto your leg or further up. They stick on, and again you can apply electrical impulses. What this is actually is just a glorified TENS machine, a transcutaneous nerve stimulator. Anyway, what I'm going to try and do is crank it up and see what happens. So I'm not feeling anything at the moment. So I'm up to 20 now. Still can't feel anything. Okay, I'm getting a bit of a tingle there now. Oof. Yeah, I can definitely feel something, and I think if you can see if I can zoom in on my foot, particularly my right one, you can see this tendon here contracting. Just crank it up a bit more. Well, I have to admit, this actually feels quite unpleasant. So I think, ooh, that is really quite. It's like having an electric shock, which I've had plenty of in my time, and it's something that we generally try to avoid. So I'm not doing that. This is totally involuntary now. This tendon here is tibialis anterior, and it's also causing some contraction of the extensor muscles going to the toe, but it's not quite there. The big toe is trying to flex a little bit. Well, that feels quite unpleasant. I think what's happening is that the current loop is probably going up here through the calves and down again, stimulating a nerve called the peroneal nerve, which is one of the tibial nerves, which is causing these muscles to contract. Well, that is really unpleasant. I'm getting basically bursts of impulses now, which is causing my big toe to contract slightly. You can see it there. Anyway, so basically with this, you would keep it on for a certain period of time, and it causes all your muscles in your calf muscles, etc., to contract. And at the end of this, your legs are supposed to feel tip top. Well, let's just turn this thing off. My legs are not feeling. Oof, I'm not sure I could sit there for I don't know how long, subjecting myself to electric shocks. That's for sure. Anyway, what we'll do is I'm going to need to open this thing up and see what's inside it. So have a look at the outside of this thing. Just trying to get into picture. So I don't know if you can see that. Those are the controls, obviously the time, intensity, and then the whether you have it on the body or the sole, and that's where your pads go in there. And again, these rubber pads, which I was actually quite surprised, as I mentioned before, these are actually conductive, which is quite interesting. This is actually one of the older generations of circulation boosters, as you can see there, made by a company called High Tech Health. On the back, we've got just get it in the picture. That's better. So the frequency is 1 Hz to 50 Hz. What else have we got? Power consumption 5 watts. The rest of this is all pretty standard stuff, you know, input power, etc. And what's intriguing, down here, do not open. Well, that's the first thing we're going to do. Let's get a screwdriver. Right, let's see if I can open this thing. And it's on quite. Oh, there we go. Well, not much in there, is there? Right. What I'll have to do is just figure out how to open this, and then we'll see what's like inside. Right. So got these rubber pads come off, and a few screws there which we've unscrewed. So let's take this off. See what we've got here. Right, that's obviously the leave that down. That's obviously the DC input there, and this big circuit board PCB, which unfortunately all the components are on the other side. So I'll have to try and remove that and see what's going on. Right, I've taken everything apart now, as you can see. Turned this board over, and yeah, it's quite interesting. There's not really an awful lot to this TENS machine or circulation booster. So at the heart of it, it's an 18-pin pick, which is quite old school really, but I guess this machine's probably getting on a bit. I think probably the more modern versions of this will probably use something a little bit more updated. But anyway, got a microcontroller here, and these are the buttons, obviously, for the controlling the push buttons on the top of the machine. There's nothing much really that interesting. The small, I presume, some sort of output transformers to the electrodes, and then we've got a lot of quite a lot of opto couplers there. These are EL817s. There's another load. Move it forward slightly. Another load of them there. These are the jacks for the pads, I should say. They seem to have gone to town with these KSF92 PMP transistors. There's quite a load of them all over the place. So nothing sort of desperately exciting out of this, but yeah, quite surprised they use a pick actually. Well, I know there's been quite a few homebrew projects making TENS machines using picks. And I think the principle of this is that they use a carrier voltage, so to speak, which is modulated by the output of that pick to produce trains of pulses, so to speak, which you can vary the frequency and the duration, and that's, I guess, how it works. It'd be interesting to see, just to rig it up to the scope and see what the output's like on this. And I'm presuming the voltage out of these, I mean, it's not going to be desperately high. Obviously, you don't want to electrocute your patient, so I presume it's somewhere, probably, I would have thought somewhere around about 50 to 90 volts, something like that. Because obviously it's got to be able to penetrate the skin. When I connected up to the multimeter, actually, just across, putting the multimeter across the pads, I was only getting 6 volts, which I presume maybe just do a voltage drop across the pads. Anyway, who knows? Let's rig it up to the scope, see what happens. Okay, I've got the thing powered up, and it's actually on the bench now, and you can see that the all of the LED display is illuminated, and I've got it set at about 36. It goes up to a maximum of 99, and I'll show you what the display looks like on the scope. So as you can see, you're getting these trains of pulses which are occurring, and what's interesting, you can see that the polarity inverts as well. Now on this setting, we've got I'll just wait till it settles down a bit. Got a peak voltage of 40 volts, and I've cranked it up all the way up to 99. I think it's that one there. That's 55. But anyway, it goes up to 99, and the peak voltage, when I checked it with the scope, was about 60 volts. And I had it when I was connected to it. I think I had it on about 37 up to 40, and it was unpleasant. It was starting to get a little bit unpleasant. So if you're, I guess you probably need a much higher voltage if you've got big legs. So if you're a bit on the tubby side, you probably need a few more volts to shift the current round. But I certainly wouldn't like to try it on 99. I think it would definitely be really quite unpleasant. So folks, there you go. That's a circulation booster. Yeah, well, for some people it might work. For others, probably not. I think they're about £250 in the shops or wherever you get them from online. So yeah, if you want to try one, go ahead. It's your money, but at the end of the day, it may or may not work. Just one parting shot. If it doesn't do your legs any good, it's going to make a very good frisbee. Thanks for watching.